Well, I think it's time to start a new project for the layout. And I think this will be another structure for the stone wall section. I've had this kit for, I don't even know how long I've had this kit. Probably at least 5 years. Right. You know, all this cute stuff here, it does absolutely nothing for me. Got some white metal. We'll see how that looks. I wonder if this is my water tank. Got a water tank right there. That would be my first thought. Got the wood. This looks like some cardboard in the bottom. Royal flush toilets. I will not be using that. I don't know what this is. Maybe it's roofing material. And I got quite the manual here. So it looks like a pretty comprehensive manual. 20 pages. Here's some pictures of a completed model. Now I'm going to build this as a full structure. I'm not going to section it. About 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I built a bar mills kit, and it had some white metal pieces in it. I wasn't very impressed by them. These aren't all that good either. So I would say these border on being unusable. And this roof it's cardboard or some sort of heavy construction paper. One thing, it looks like the siding's pretty nicely done. Here I have acetate or plastic for windows. All right, got a bunch of stringers over here. Got a sharp stick. It's broken off. Not sure what the sharp stick's for. Suppose I'll find out. All right, so I'm going to be adding these 5/64 pieces here. I'm hoping these are applied to the outside edges and not over the top. So what I'm going to do for these 5 pieces right here, now the instructions says do not put vertical corner posts on the end of this wall section, which I believe this is that piece. So I'm going to go ahead and just put a pencil mark on these and then cut them. Put down some wax paper to glue everything together with. I'm going to glue it together with Tight Bond. At the grocery store, I buy these condiment cups, and the lids work pretty good for glue. And I'll apply the glue with a toothpick. I want enough glue on here to secure that end post, but I don't want so much glue that it makes a big mess. And I cut these pieces long. I'll sand them to shape after the glue dries. Okay, I have the end posts glued on all of these pieces. I use these brass clamps to weigh down these larger pieces. And I have this old lead plumb bob here. I use to weigh down this smaller piece just to make sure everything glues down and dries flat. I've taken the staple out of the instructions to help in putting this together. There's no numbers burned into the wood here, so I have to use this diagram to determine what parts are what. This plywood has an adhesive backing. So what I want to do with this is get the backing off. Apply this to my door. Now this door piece is smaller than the trim. So that's pretty close. So I try to get these parts positioned before I press down on them and get the adhesive to really grab onto the wood. All right, well, building these windows is pretty fiddly. These last two are some of the larger windows, so make it a little bit easier to finish up that way. See these small windows here. Trying to put these together is a bit of a challenge. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but these windows here are at different depths. And here's where the adhesive becomes a little bit of a hindrance because it sticks to everything. Once I get these assembled, and then I'll use some CA. All right. And I don't want to press too hard on this adhesive because it can make it hard to move the windows around. I think I have that about where I want it. Trying to get this adjusted, and it's just super fiddly. Even with these larger windows, the smaller windows are even worse. And once I get everything in place, I can hit it with some CA, but getting everything lined up is the trick. Alright, that's probably as good as I'm going to get it. So I'll go ahead and hit that with some CA. I know that looks like a lot, and it is. Oh, I got the two larger windows finished. Of course, I already had these small windows finished before. So I'll let this CA set up. And after a bit, we'll take a look at all of the windows and doors. All right, I think I have all of the windows and the doors done. All right, I'm going to start gluing some sides of the building together. Now I'm on to page 11 here. I'm going to be putting together this structure right here. Now I've had to resort to this page so I know which pieces I need. I need 7, 8, 5, and 6. And I'm going to use this building fixture. Hopefully that'll make it a little bit easier to get it square. All right. Now on this end, we didn't glue on these outside trim pieces, so I think this end of the building butts up to the larger building. Now if you look at the dimensions here, so I think these walls will glue to the outside of these pieces. So I'll put some glue here. These go like that. Piece goes on like that. This piece goes on like that. This one goes on like this. All right, so I have everything in place here. I have fillets of glue down in the corners, in each of the corners. Hopefully I have the magnets positioned here where it's going to fit tight together and it's going to be square. It's a little bit difficult to tell, so I guess I'll find out in a few hours. All right, so the glue's dried. Appears to be square. So set this aside and move on to the larger structure. Now both ends on this structure have the trim boards on the ends. I want to get a good coverage here, but I don't want a bunch of excess glue either. I've glued some boards together with this Titebond Ultimate. And when trying to separate the boards, I ended up breaking the boards and not the glue joint. So this glue really holds on. All right, I'm looking at the instructions here. I want to make sure I have all my sides identical to what's shown here. Okay, I want everything to be nice and square. I have this rubber band I can put around the top. All right, so I'll let this set up for a couple hours. Well, I've had these parts setting up for a couple hours. So I think they should be good to remove. All right. Well, that all looks pretty good. Nice and square. Looks like the end's glued up real nice. All right, these parts, they're looking pretty good. And I have to say, some of these doors and windows look pretty nice. But this is the end of part 1, and we'll pick it up in part 2. So I thank you for watching. I hope you come back. Join me again.